G'day Flosstube, Anna aka Moranalis, back with another stitching update. It's actually the second time I've tried to film it. Last time the husband decided it'd be a good time to start the big old truck right next door to where I'm filming and promptly couldn't hear anything I was trying to say. Now that we are short a husband and a truck, we'll have another go. It is August 7th. Checked it first time. Can't remember. August 7th. Friday. Not too much exciting happening around here, just more of the usual. Welcome to anybody who's joining me for the first time. I see a few new subscribers coming in bits and pieces, and it's always nice to meet some new folks. Welcome back to anybody who's returning, puts up with me on a regular basis, particularly I think two weeks ago, the video was dreadfully scatterbrained and not a particularly good example of how to do a professional Flosstube. If you're looking for professional examples, you're probably better off looking somewhere else. Anyway, love to get comments from you guys. Trying to be good about responding to everybody who leaves me a note. So know that they're all read and appreciated. And beyond that, let's get into the stitching. So last filmed about 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago on the dot. I've got nothing of note that I can think of that has happened in the last 2 weeks beyond just picking up whichever project takes my fancy at the time. When I last filmed, I was doing a fair bit of focus on Bellafilipina's Pearl of the Orient Seas. That's what she will look like eventually. So this one, there's a few of us that are doing this pattern in a bit of a stitch along. I'll put hashtags down at the bottom. So if you're stitching it, feel free to hop on and use the hashtags. The more the merrier. Always. It's funny, I think there's 3 of us that ended up starting this, and we've all got very different fabrics. So it's interesting to see how they all turn out. So yeah, without further ado, I got a stray thread. I obviously put this away mid-thread and never got back to it. This is what she looks like. The fabric is Color Cascades Dark Fantasy. It's 32 count Belfast. I really can't remember where I was last time you guys saw this. I will have to try and dig up a picture. But from memory, I was focusing on trying to finish the black hair, which I think is now all done. She's got her little headpiece. I did put, there's little random bits of starburst and stuff in her hair. I tried to go through and fill in anything that was the metallic rather than beads in those. So you can see a few metallics going in from the jangles from her arms. So once I finished the hair, then I decided, well, I'm going to go through and try and systematically try and finish out the seaweeds, which is why I got the green hanging there. Obviously still a fair bit to do in her actual arms and the shell that she's holding. I think the bulk of the poof off her head is beads, some metallic, but a lot of beads. So I think with this one, there's so many beads on some parts of it, I may have to stitch some of the beads in and then do the other bits of metallic dribble after I've done some of the beads, which is not ideal order wise, but it'd be easier to count, and I can't be bothered to count, guys. If it's more than 5, it's too hard. So making good progress. At some point I would like to really push and get this finished. Not going to happen quite yet. One can't prioritize everything all at the same time, otherwise nothing still gets done. as far as relevant changes, if you haven't heard me say 50 times already, the chart originally calls for Krynic, a lot of Krynic through that tail. I swapped to Treasure Braid, just because I like Treasure Braid better. Down in the middle of her tail, right in the center, there I have a pink sort of metallic. The original pattern had acres and acres of beads, and while I can totally see beads hanging off the bling and whatnot, I just thought a big old gob of beads in the middle of her tail didn't make a great deal of sense to me, so swap that out. The learning part of this project is this is my first effort at doing a skin tone conversion. So she had black hair charted, and I intend to give this to my niece who is of Korean heritage. So I figured I would try and pick a skin tone closer to hers. I like the way it looks in the camera. Same as Queen Sari, when I did it, the skin looks fairly blocky up close in person. The Queen Sari always looked that way too until I put the beads in the back stitching in. So I'm hoping once that goes in, it'll smooth out a bit. I think it will. So fairly happy with my color choices in the skin tone. I was a bit worried this dark here is awful dark, but it's all good, and I think it'll be great. Little girl can have a sparkly mermaid, because every little girl needs a sparkly mermaid that looks a bit like her. So I figured with that dark hair already, the Korean skin tone was you're not going to come up with an easier conversion. Didn't have to touch the hair at all. So there is that. At some point I will have to pull it out, prioritize it, and get it finished, but given we are not going back to the States anytime soon, I'm not in a super hurry to do that. Instead, my priority at the moment is finishing the stocking for my daughter. Quick reminder, this is the one I pulled out of Deep Stash. Give you a full view first. Pulled this project out of Deep Stash. I started it 17-ish years ago. She's 17 now. I think I started it after she was born, but the idea was, you know, she'd have it for her first Christmas. Yeah, not gonna happen. So I've told her I will have it the stitching done before she graduates, and then I got to figure out how to make it into an actual stocking. So this is a dimension stocking. It's the Kit Ada Kit Threads. I believe it's called Rooftop Santa. And when I pulled it out, there was a fair bit of the figure and roof and everything done, but there were definitely gaps and holes that needed filling in. So I've spent an awful lot of time filling in around the toe, sort of the chimney and down part of the stocking. And so I think I've got it down to where there's like 2 little bits of blue in the village that I'm kind of trying to get up here to use up the rest of that thread, because I don't want to start a thread for 2 stitches and then not finish it. But this week, I can't quite see, putting in a fair bit of effort starting the back stitching and the detail in that toe. So those reindeer should be all back stitched except for right along those red ribbons. I think there's some metallic back stitching that goes in there. But beyond that, all the house and the bricks in the front of the house is in, all the snow is finished up, and the starting to backstitch Santa, and I think all that chimney is backstitched now. So you can basically figure below the chimney everything is more or less done until you start talking metallic specialty stuff. So the focus this week, I think, is going to be to move up and fill in all the missed stitches and bits and pieces, predominantly in his sack and around his head. but there's a few scattered elsewhere as well. So this is one of those, like, it's not an enjoyable project to work on, but I really, really want to get it done. So every day I try and do a couple of threads and then put it away and go do something that I'm excited about. I haven't been doing it precisely every day, but definitely, 3 out of 4 days I do get a couple of threads in on it. So that's good. It is making forward progress, and it will get finished hopefully well before November. Yeah, so you can see there's a bit of mist stuff in his ear. There's a lot of mist stuff in that sack just because it's putsy. But pleased with the progress it's making, and we will get there. And the daughter will have her stocking before she graduates. Might have to have her use it for Halloween on the brain. Christmas this year. So that's what the stocking. Last weekend I was sitting around on Virtual Stitchers, and they were all talking about how, I think it's Simi Sane was starting a Choose Your Whip that would run all the way through August. And I had been considering, should I do the spin the wheel thing for arbitrary August, but I was only half keen on it. I certainly don't want to spin the wheel every day, particularly during the week. I just want to have one thing to work on and not think too hard. The weekends I'm happier to jump around a little bit, but I haven't got extra brain power during the week. So spur of the moment thing, I put up both of the next 2 projects as options for Choose My Whip, but Tinctorium Mandala is the one that won. So this has been my focus for the last week, and again, I'm not super certain where you last saw it. I know I had spent some time filling in those borders just to see how some of that how it was going to come out. But this week my plan was, I was so close, I was going to finish all those little 1/1 critters. You can see I even started backstitching the first couple. That hedgehog and that bunny are both backstitched. He's only partially done. And so I had them all, and I had this one that wasn't finished, and I had one here that was 3/4 finished. But as I was going around putting in those background stitches, I realized this bunny was 2 squares off. And then, so I spent 2 days unpicking that stupid bunny, almost the entire bunny. And I just haven't been able to stomach getting back to stitch him back in. So instead, I've been filling in the specialty stitches. I think that leaf shape is complete. The rest of them have the base of the rice stitch and the dense roads, but the legs of the rice stitch still need to go in. Trying to see here, I don't know if you can tell, the base X of those rice stitches are in, but instead of, Martina tells you to do the legs and then the center tacking cross, I do it in reverse. I do the base X, then I do the center tacking cross, and then I put the legs in. So I just find it easier to get that tacking cross in if you're not fighting around the legs. So that's what I do. Beyond that, I think I filled in a few more dense road stitches around here. And like I said, I was working through trying to fill in some of the background. That's how I found the bunny was off. I think today will be the last day I work on Tinctorium for the Choose My Whip. Next week I have put up the project you'll see next, and Aura of Autumn, which I haven't worked on at all. So 2 full coverages for people to choose from. So if you want to go vote, I think the requirement is you have to post your own pieces in the Choose My WIP before you're allowed to vote. So if you're participating, go ahead and vote. Tell me which full coverage you want me to work on next week. But I will try and finish up some of those rice stitches and stuff before I put that away, because that would be nice to have those specialties knocked out in those leaves. So I'm pretty pleased with that as progress. Yeah, the specialty stitches are nice because there's still a lot of up and down, but they cover a large area, so it looks like you're very accomplished. The last one I worked on last week was my new start, and I believe you did see this in the last video. I think I just started it. I might have had like 100 stitches in there. And that's my world map. Ooh, glare. And it is upside down. Hot air balloons go up the top. So I am working up in this little corner of this wonderful map. Obviously the black, the grid, that's just the page marking grid. I don't have a photo without those on there, so pretend you can't see the black. I'm up in that postage stamp. I've nearly finished that first page. So the plan is to either go to that page or that page, which gives me arch or arch to choose from. I actually expect I might do the next one along the top. I had intended to work all the way across the top, but I think I'll do this block of 4 because I think they'll all fit on the one Q-snap view, and then move on to the next block of 4 like that. So playing that a bit by ear. Anyway, this is, pretty sure it's just called World Map. It's on Etsy. I'll leave the Etsy name. I think it's ZAnnaCrossStitch, but I'll leave it in the details below. So if anybody is interested, you can find it. She's got several sort of mapping large projects, like Disney maps and things like that, rather than just traditional maps. So you can see there's that postage stamp type motif in there. Yeah, I just finished a diagonal this morning, so I have 1, 2, 3. I think my diagonals are only about 300 stitches now. So this is, I did the stats this morning. This is 4,200 stitches have gone into this so far. That gives me a whopping 0.6% complete. By the time I finish the entire page, I will only be at 0.7%. So this is one of those going to take forever, lifetime sort of projects. But you can see where I mean with, given where it is in the Q-snap, I can easily fit another page, might even be able to fit 3, and definitely 2 down before I shift the Q-snap. So, like I said, this is one of the options for the Choose My WIP. I was kind of hoping this one might win, but I actually expect the Aura of Autumn is going to win. So I will, most likely from the looks of it, have to change to that. But if you feel so inclined to go vote for this one, that'd be cool too. I actually really like the way that one's turning out, although my husband thinks I'm nuts, just given the sheer size of the thing and how long this is going to take. And he laughs every time I tell him I finished another block and ask him what percent that makes, because it's, yeah, bugger all. So I think that's it for me this week. I hope you guys are all keeping well. Here in Queensland, life is as normal as it gets in this time of the history. But I know some other places are struggling a lot more. So I hope you are keeping safe and all that jazz. Wash your hands, wear a mask if it's relevant, and if you're stuck at home isolating, have fun stitching. Talk to you next time.